People are calling out Disney for their woke agenda. Experts are saying that this could be the breaking point for the House of Mouse. Check this out.
Look, I think that one thing or the other is going to happen with Disney stock. They're either going to find some kind of solid footing underneath the business that's going to support the stock, or the pressures kind of build on this company to restructure and to break up. And I think in the latter scenario, you've got certainly an opportunity for value to be created from these levels. And I don't think the management team wants that. I think they believe they can turn the business around so it doesn't get to that point. But they've had activists before in Disney, and they could return if things don't shape up.
Me? It may not be so much the woke agenda that's killing Disney as much as the studio getting lazy. If you look at their recent material, a significant part of the content consists of remakes, sequels, and spin-offs. The Snow White remake that got pushed back, all the Marvel content, the Little Mermaid remake. You get the idea. Now, just to compare, you've got the series Arcane on Netflix. It was a huge success in terms of views and reviews. It had a diverse cast with strong female leads, LGBT romance, etc. It did well because it featured a compelling story, difficult choices, ambiguous moralities, and character growth through trauma and struggle. Disney, on the other hand, Disney right now just slaps the "you're perfect the way you are and you can do anything if you believe in yourself" tropes on their IPs, and they pretty much call it a day. Most people don't hate diversity, they just hate the garbage plot that so often comes with it. But what do you guys think? This whole Disney woke agenda makes me remember Adam Smith, the father of economics and the father of capitalism. His theory of the invisible hand explains how the invisible hand of the market worked as people exercise their choices between certain products. It can shape economies and change whole governments. And we can definitely see how this invisible hand is affecting Disney. In recent reports, Disney seems to admit that its controversial political and social stance it's hurting the company and its shareholders. In its annual report to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, Disney acknowledges risks related to not aligning with what the public likes in entertainment, travel, and consumer products. You can see how Smith's invisible hand is giving the middle finger to Disney, especially when Disney themselves acknowledges that the success of our businesses depend on our ability to consistently create compelling content. I think they finally realize that if their entertainment and products don't gain enough acceptance from the consumers, it affects their revenues and their profits. They also note that public perceptions can vary widely when it comes to social and environmental issues, so that could also pose risks to their reputation. Honestly, it's interesting how before companies like Disney didn't really want to pay that much attention to consumer backlash over their political stances. Not to mention, they focus more on selling products and services rather than promoting specific viewpoints. Now, as we all know, these recent losses seem to be suggesting a change in strategy. Disney has reportedly lost $1 billion just on 4 of its recent woke movie flops, productions denounced by critics as pushing political agendas or storylines. Despite this, the company has continued to release underperforming movies as revenues declined. Even Disney's own stars have been bad-mouthing its iconic storylines and undermining the success of new productions. The company admits that it has suffered a continued slide in impressions, that is, viewership by 14%. Now, to be fair though, their movies and products are a form of art that express certain ideas and values. In the past, some of these values included things that are now considered offensive, like racist stereotypes. The issue now is how much of a political and social message Disney could or should include in its products. Many conservatives feel that Disney's products are just virtue signaling, empty gestures of virtue, and endless attempts to indoctrinate children. Disney publicly opposed a popular parental rights bill in Florida, so you can see how there's a shift in focus from business to a focus on politics. This is where the problem lies with the invisible hand. Disney can create movies, but it can't force people to buy them. While Disney used to be the brand that brought people together, it's now seen negatively by a pretty significant number of consumers who associate it with activism. The company is now experiencing a decrease in licensing revenue from products related to Star Wars, Frozen, Toy Story, and Mickey and Friends, brands that were once iconic and unquestionable corporate images. Another problem is how Disney makes bad movies, then uses wokeness to deflect the criticism. People call it Disney's performative progressivism. something they find as offensive as the company's disregard for entertainment quality. Now, the big question is how long Disney or its shareholders can handle the drop in revenues because of its disconnect with the public. Disney is a huge company and can withstand losing a lot of money before making any kind of serious decisions. But even Disney's CEO Bob Iger, he seems to be looking to calm things down after years of these culture wars. It looks like he's come to accept that a company does indeed have to sell products to survive. Like Smith wrote, quote, "It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we can expect our dinner, but from the regard of their own interest," end quote. For shareholders of Disney, the most common complaint in recent years is that the entire corporation appears to have reached that point in pushing woke movies that have bombed with consumers and a political fight with Florida that has already cost the corporation dearly. At the heart of the two recent controversies are free speech disputes. The company's new Snow White, actress Rachel Zegler, is publicly defending her right to trash the franchise's original storyline and characters. In the meantime, the company is objecting that it's being punished for its own free speech in opposing Florida's popular parental rights law. Recently, Disney gave up on its legal complaints against the state of Florida about the Parental Rights in Education Act. Except for one, they're still holding on to their claim that Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis is punishing them for speaking out against the law. At the same time, Disney's new Snow White, Rachel Zegler, criticized the original 1937 movie, saying that Prince Charming was like a stalker and promising to ditch the whole love interest. She explained in an interview that Snow White won't be saved by the prince or dreaming about true love. More trouble came when Peter Dinklage from the Game of Thrones spoke out against the film, especially the idea of the traditional 7 dwarfs appearing again. He was upset about the old story and wanted something different. After his objections, Disney changed the dwarves to be a happy band of male and female, racially diverse group of non-dwarves except for one actor. But again, it's not the discussion of these themes which make a movie annoyingly woke. It's the approach and the tone. A great writer might weave political ideas into a story with nuance and subtlety, but there has been a trend where good storytelling is sacrificed to prioritize political point scoring. A lot of movies, they just end up lecturing to the audience in a heavy-handed and condescending manner. Not to mention they dismiss any criticism as bigotry. The backlash and the actor strike has now resulted in a delay of the release of the remake for another year and the sudden reappearance of the original dwarfs. Disney insists that the earlier actors were just stand-ins for the dwarfs. But I'm gonna leave that one up to you to think about. Honestly, I think it's just a matter of Disney needing to start making hits again. As experts pointed out, the House of Mouse needs to address the content pipeline, which has really suffered over the past years. Frankly, the time of low interest rates, which made the big losses in streaming services easier to handle, it's now over. That means traditional media companies are in a tight spot, dealing with the high debts and fierce competition for streaming customers who can be quite unpredictable. Regular TV business is also going down. Disney's leader Iger recognizes that the movie-making part of Disney is facing challenges. He's getting hands-on and making the movies better by reducing the number produced and having open talks with studio leaders when movies like the Marvels don't do well. His first year back in charge has been filled with problems, from Hollywood strikes to legal battles with Florida's governor, and ongoing financial issues from the streaming changes. To bring Disney back on track, the main focus should be bringing back its creative spirit. Iger wants to transform the company he led for 15 years. The positive results from these changes will take time, especially because making movies takes a long time. But this is something that they need to get right because successful movies impact all of Disney's businesses, from the theme parks to merchandise like lunchboxes, toys, and clothes. Reviving Disney's famous studios is a big challenge among the many tasks that Iger faces before his tenure ends in 2026. He spent most of his first year fixing things, and now he's looking for ways to make Disney's businesses grow again. A significant part of the growth depends on turning streaming services including Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN into profitable ventures. But, as Iger put it, they feel really good about the potential of the business. They say the issues at Marvel, Pixar, and Lucasfilms started after Disney launched its Disney Plus streaming service in 2019. Disney aimed to compete with Netflix by promising lots of new original series at a low subscription price. This led to a huge increase of subscribers for Disney Plus, and the company spent a lot of money, reaching $30 billion in 2022. To keep up, all Disney studios, especially Marvel and Lucasfilms, were given the task of creating binge-worthy series on top of their usual movies. This resulted in successful shows like The Mandalorian from Lucasfilms and WandaVision and Loki from Marvel. but it also pushed the creative teams at the studios to their limits. One Disney veteran described it as, just go get as many subscribers as you can. And in doing so, the studios were asked to make a lot of content. Having too many Star Wars and Marvel shows on Disney Plus in the last year and a half, it led to fewer people watching and not so great reviews. I think from there, Iger learned that having too much content can be the enemy of quality. Disney's since then changed its plan and now has fewer Marvel movies coming out. They're also being more careful about what they approve and when they release these movies. On top of that, Iger is telling the studios to do more with less money. Disney's budget for making content will be $2 billion less next year, bringing it down to $25 billion. He has reorganized the entertainment group to give more control to creative executives, changing a structure set up by the former leader, Chapek, that kept studio leaders out of important decisions about distribution and other things. From there, the chief executive says that he's already detecting a change of atmosphere, a lightness in the step at Disney these days that is palpable when you walk on the lot. Now, as for the results, I guess we're going to be seeing those in the next few Disney films that come out. But what do you guys think? Are you still going to check out their new movies? Let me know your thoughts. We can definitely pick this up again in another video. Make sure you guys always tune into our documentaries, and I'll see you guys on the next one.